Life Glossers. It's the 90s part two. We're picking up in 1995. We're going to go through the year 2000. But in this episode, we're going to share with you 90s brands that are still around, specifically 90s products that are still available. And if you are having a little hankering for the olden days, how to incorporate 90s tips and trends today that are still flattering and work on our skin. Things that work on our crepey lids, our liney lips, so we'll show you how you can step back in time and still be a cool kid without looking like you're stuck, like you never left. You want to look like you're dipping your toe back in.
I think that one of the biggest differences is the matte look started to somewhat fade away. We started to see a turn in the tide. We started to see brands like Stila come along, Urban Decay. Even though they were around, they were really picking up steam from 95 on. And this is when we started seeing shimmer. Shimmer came in hard. We were seeing those frosty frosts. We were seeing dual chromes. We were starting to see a lot of color because I think we were just, I don't know, I feel like we were
We were
getting a
browned
little,
out.
we were browned out and we were sort of like, what's next? And I remember
Ooh.
gloss. Lipstick started to sort of move away and we were starting to see gloss on the
Yeah, because they
lips.
had to anniversary all their lipstick numbers. And
Yeah.
how the hell were they going to do it? They gave you another product to put on top of it.
Right. So we really
Look
started
at
seeing
that.
things like Lancome was really one of the first, and they really came out, and came along with
Juicy tubes.
their Juicy Tubes. And the Juicy Tubes really put gloss on the map. Chanel also with Glossamer, they were
Oh,
out there doing it. But that was the biggest change. That's really when we saw that shift. Stila came out with Kitten, and that really took off. We were starting to see shimmer on the eyes and gloss on the lips. We weren't really seeing a tremendous amount of highlighty cheek stuff yet.
mm-mm.
That sort of
Mhm.
came in the early 2000s. We started sort of seeing that. It was mostly the crazy colors on the eyes and the glossy lips. And one of the best brands that really did that, I think, at the time was Urban Decay, Makeup Forever. And what's
Hard
interesting,
candy.
Hard Candy, but Hard Candy was nails predominantly
At first, and most people
at
don't know
first.
that. Hard
Yeah,
candy was nails at first.
yeah. Oh,
I mean,
that's all
can
it
you
was
even?
nails. Yeah. So, we started sort of seeing that shift,
Hmm.
and that's when things started kind of makeup started getting a little bit more fun, a little less serious,
And we
and
started seeing liquid foundation.
yeah,
Smashbox came out with their primer, which
yes,
allowed us to fill in all the cracks in the pores. And
right,
then we started playing with luminizing foundations and we started playing with liquid foundations, whereas before
yeah,
liquid foundations were for old ladies. Remember?
yes,
Liquid was for old ladies. That was your Borghese, your Alexandra de Markov, your
right,
Lauder. And then we started seeing more liquid foundations. Prescriptives was doing all kinds of liquids. Everybody
right.
was doing a liquid. We also, in the mid 90s, a lot of people don't know this, but that's when we saw alpha hydroxy acids. We didn't
Hmm.
have alpha hydroxy acids before that. We had to do manual exfoliation and scrubs. We were scrubbing the shit out of our faces with apricot seeds or whatever fancy department store thing. We're all wearing Fango mud to get the oil out. But alpha hydroxys, I want to say they hit in 96
Yeah.
with Estee Lauder.
And then Trish McAvoy
And then
brought
Trish.
in
Oh,
glycolics
Trish. I love Trish to
because
this day.
because because Trish was married to a dermatologist. So
Right.
she was the first really to bring glycolic acids. It was,
Yes.
I'll tell you, the second half of the 90s was acid crazy. I mean, it was
Crazy.
like Woodstock of cosmetics. It was like acid everywhere. We could not get enough hydroxys, glycolics, salicylics. Like everybody was
And you
claiming
had to
their
learn your
acid was better than
ABCs,
theirs.
your
Yeah,
ABCs of acids.
the ABCs of acid, and everyone was just exfoliating the shit out of their skin. And I think because of that, it would make sense where skin was looking more glowy to move into liquid foundations. And that's when we
Precisely.
saw that change from the heavy matte powder face to something a little more glowy, although it wasn't mica forward, it wasn't shimmer makeup, it was more it was still matte, but it was a liquid matte.
It was a
So it,
liquid matte. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So it did
Oh,
have a
yes. It was
little,
a liquid matte. We put
yeah,
anything that went on the face that had a light reflection was a powder. It was a pearl
right,
or a glitter.
right.
Lots of tons of pearl and glitter
Right. But
products.
again, not on the cheeks. It was really on the eyes and then a gloss on the lips.
Hmm.
It was the beginnings. So,
Hmm.
we didn't have, it
Woo!
was dewy makeup. We really didn't use that word back
No, we
then.
didn't. You didn't want dew.
You didn't want dew.
Dew
You,
is
so,
equal to moist, and ew.
right. And we
Ew.
didn't do that. We didn't
Mm.
do dew back
No,
then.
we did not do
Um,
dew.
and so then we sort of started seeing a lot of these designer brands come out with these bursts
Mhm.
of color, like we said on the last episode. The Versace when they did their makeup line, and Chanel was really bringing out the quads with all those great
Oh,
colors. Um,
and then we had the vamp moment.
we had the Vamp moment, which was
Mhm.
really revolutionized so much about our industry because for the first time we were sort of seeing a shade take
Right.
over, and that was what was big, having
Hmm.
shades, Steal a Kitten,
Oh,
Chanel Vamp, Mac Russian Red. Like every
yep.
brand had a color that they were known for, which
Everyone.
is, yeah, very
And then in the
interesting
early aughts, it
concept.
was Orgasm by NARS.
Oh my
Everyone had
God.
a signature thing. And here's what's so interesting is that brands had the self-respect not to copycat. So nobody was copycatting Kitten until Benefit came out with a body powder called Kitten, which I thought was really shitty. And they got a lot of flack for it and pulled it. But nobody copycatted. Nobody copycatted on names because this was a time, as we said in the part one, the 80s and the 90s, it was about individuality. It wasn't about me too. And if you were a makeup brand and one brand was doing something and that's what they were known for, you just had to hustle and find your signature and your voice. Because if you me too copycatted them, you were such a loser, such a loser. And now that's all we're seeing is
And
copycat.
see, it's interesting you bring that up, Hill, because we didn't have as many makeup brands back then because nobody was copying. Everybody was being innovative and coming out with their own look and their own stuff. Now we're inundated and
Mhm.
it's all the same recycled crap. Everyone is duping, everyone's copying. So we have more stuff, but it's copies.
All copies. It's so
Terrible.
disappointing. And that's part of the reason that I'm on a little bit of my, soapbox on social media, on TikTok and such, just showing people like, you guys, you don't need all of this because I feel like our consumer right now, especially in the social media space, she's being told every 5 minutes, oh, you need this, you need this. Oh, the next best thing, you need a gray contour, you need an orange contour, you need something that participates with skin.
It's
It's
nuts.
such BS.
It's
And
nuts.
I'm actually doing a series where I go through and I show you the back end of TikTok as a creator. There are people, and now I'm all for women getting their bag. If you're working at home, you have children, you're disabled, whatever, you have to work from home, beautiful, that's great. TikTok's a great way to do it. You can sell products, and I'm all about user generated content. Like, what do real people think? So you're not being bamboozled by the brands or by magazines or whatever. But it's gotten to the point now of where some creators wake up in the morning, they go into the back end of their, TikTok, and they look in the creator center who's sending me free products or who's doubling my commission, who's doing the best commissions, who's doing this, who's doing that. And then that's how they plan their content is based on how much they're going to make. And that's when you see a TikTok trend, it's usually because somebody's making their bag on the other end, which just makes me irate, and which is why I'm talking about it publicly because they're screwing the consumer, and there are so many people that have baskets full of absolute garbage at home that they don't need.
Yeah, I mean, you know
That
how
was
I
my
feel about
soapbox.
all that stuff. I mean, I think there's so much garbage. I think, you know,
Yeah.
everyone's an expert, but none of them have a CV. So, I listen and learn from those that have been around, those that have the years behind them, those that have the work. It's one thing to be someone that loves makeup, and I'm with you. Spread the word. You want to do get readies with me and have fun. I think it's
Oh, it's so
fantastic.
fun.
There's room for everybody, but don't make the mistake that you're an expert because you're
Well, and
not.
don't shove it down people's throats.
Right.
And some of them just
Right.
blatantly lie
Yeah.
about what
And I mean, I
products will
think
do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the first thing that we always say, and we said this, now we've been doing this for 3 years, everything we share, everything we talk about, if you want to go get it, go get it. We're not getting commission. We're not getting paid for this. So if you want, if there's something we talk about and you think it's interesting or you want to know more, we're happy to help you.
Hmm.
But we're not profiting off this. So if there comes a day that we
Much to our
do,
husband's
we'll
chagrin.
tell you. Yeah, much to our husband's chagrin, we're not making a dime. Hey, we're not making a dime. But
Yes.
the one day if we do, we will tell you and we will
Yes.
be honest about it. Like we've been honest about everything else on this podcast. So that's something that's changed since the 90s makeup until now is the lack of transparency and the lack of honesty.
Yeah.
So that being said, and that our little asides there. Some of the brands that are still around are incredible. And the fact that they've stood the test of time is interesting because we talked in the first episode about brands that are no longer with us. And we can tell
Right.
you why they didn't work. If you're ever interested in that, we're happy to share that
Oh,
with
we can do
you.
that.
I mean, Prescriptives
Anatomy
is
of a
a
brand.
yeah, Prescriptives is a great example of a brand that it was so ahead of its time and it was so cool and so innovative, but it's very, very difficult to make a profit on a brand that had so many returns. And that is really what did Prescriptives in because it was custom. And anytime you do custom, you're always going to open yourself up for criticism. And people are paying extra for something custom. And if it's not perfect,
To
it's going to
their
come
eye,
back.
and you just don't know what they're
It's going to
what they're
come
seeing
back.
at home.
Yeah. So that's why Prescriptives, one of the many reasons Prescriptives didn't make it and ended up
Hmm.
in the cosmetic graveyard. And I love every so often when younger people in our industry will say, oh, someone should do a custom makeup. And it's like, yeah, no, it's never worked.
Mm-mm.
And I wish it could, but I think it's very difficult to do custom because those returns will kill a
The
brand. And
returns
it
will
did.
kill a brand. And at the time, also, we have to remember this was their policy was to return or replace. And people would come in with bottles of foundation that had nothing left.
I
And they
know.
would say, I want to return and exchange this
Yeah.
because it wasn't right for me. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it wasn't right the first 345 times that you tried it?
Yeah.
You know,
People really abuse the
people
system.
abused it, and
People really
you would
abuse
see
the
the
system.
worst of the worst in humanity, and people would think they were so sneaky. You're
Oh,
like,
God.
girl, you want to return a cream, an eye cream? I know you just put your lanolin in here. I know you use this to the last drop and then
And
refilled
then
it
they
with
would
pump
refill it.
body lotion, and you're
I
coming back here to
know.
return it to me. Like,
I know. I know. It,
I'm just,
yeah. I know. There were so many people that abused the cosmetic return system, and
Mhm.
it was a shame, but it happened. There's bad
Yeah,
people everywhere.
so let's talk about some products that were around back then that you can still get today.
Yeah, I think Makeup Forever when they got purchased by Vuitton, they threw a ton of money into them, and I think they've done a really good job
Mhm.
at trying their best to stay relevant in a world that's always changing. They've changed so much from what they first were. They were really a theatrical
Oh, yeah,
based makeup line. And now they've come out with some products, the artistry. I mean, I love that they're leaning back into their
I do
artistry.
too.
I
I do
love
too.
that because they were
That's what
always
they
an artistry
were.
brand.
And many of you may not know, Makeup Forever was the very first brand to come out with an HD HD foundation. And you
Hmm.
have to remember,
Yep.
this is a time when we were moonlighting at television studios. We were moonlighting on, television with our different clients and different things that we were doing. We weren't just at the counter. Everybody was hustling in the 90s. And they changed. All of a sudden, they went from one resolution of film to HD. And overnight, everybody looked monstrous. You could see every pore, you could see every line, you could see
Yeah.
makeup sitting on the skin. The men looked like drag queens. It
Yeah.
was horrific, and we had no real warning. There wasn't a lot of testing done, which is so weird because we have the background in the different types of black and white as it evolved into color. People knew they had to change makeup, but I guess that was so long ago, we forgot. But initially, news broadcasters looked crazy. And, and Makeup Forever was the first one to come out
Yeah.
with an HD
Yeah.
foundation.
Well, Danny Sands is
Out of
she's
this
just
world.
she's a goddess, and she's probably
Hmm.
one of the most talented female makeup artists, and most humble, by the way. um, she's just incredible. So she created something that was great, and I still use and love Makeup Forever.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
makeup artist does. It's such a great brand. And I really hope they stay around. I really do.
I hope so
Mac, of
too.
course, they've taken their turns, their ups and downs. It looks like they're trying to bring back some of these products we were talking
Hmm.
about in the first episode. I hope they do. Mac was such a great brand, and I hope they start to innovate again. I feel like they've gotten a little quiet on innovations. So if anyone at Mac is listening, it would be great to see some innovation with that brand again. Bobby, of course, she's off now doing her Jones Road at her Act Two, and I think
Which
that's
Act Two is
fantastic.
so exciting. I
Act
mean,
Two is so exciting, and I
we've got
think,
Stila, and then we have Neen doing Act Two.
right.
So,
Yeah, she's
if
doing
you
Act
loved your
Two.
convertible color,
Yep.
now you're going to have your going rouge. It's
Yep.
like,
It's nice to see these Act
it's nice.
Twos.
I'm so, so happy for Janine. I mean,
Yeah.
Nina's beautiful products. You can get your kitten. It's called Beam now. You can get your
Yep.
convertible color. It's
Yep.
clean. The
Yep.
shades are beautiful. She's done an
Yep.
incredible job.
Yep.
And then
I think
we
she.
have old standbys that are still around and never went anywhere, like our Clinique repackaged. This used to be a man's product. Now it's a woman's
You love
product.
that product.
I do love this product. It helps with my five head.
I know.
Look at who's always been around. I mean, some
Okay.
things just never change.
I have used the Donna Karan antiperspirant deodorant continuously since it first launched.
I
I
know.
am I am when it first hit the counters.
Yeah.
And
I go
back
on
then,
and
I
off
want
it,
to
on and off
say,
it. I know.
no, I have never
I
ever
know.
gone off of it. I have stayed with it. I don't care about what people
What?
say about
Yeah.
the whole controversy of aluminum. I really don't care anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not pretending to care anymore about that. But I will tell you, I remember when that antiperspirant deodorant came out, and I want to say it was $12. I want to say, and that was in the
And that was
90s or early
expensive.
90s.
That was
And I
that was a
remember paying
bougie
that
deodorant.
and thinking, oh my God, this is a fortune.
Hmm.
Now it's like, what is it now? Like 30 something? I'm like, oh my
I
God.
know.
And now my daughter is into it. She's like, that's really good. I'm like, it is simply the best. And I
It
love that
is.
Donna has not changed it. She,
Mm-mm.
Lauder has left it alone, or whoever owns it now. I just, God, please don't mess with that,
So
because
good. So good.
it's so
Speaking of
good.
brands that mess with things, if Chanel is listening, you are
Oh,
notorious for discontinuing all of our favorite things. But here's
well,
an idea, Chanel. What if you brought back your top 20 90s SKUs? I know
you're so
you think
cute,
they
Hill.
won't do it, and you should know because you worked with them for so long, but just do it. We want our old things back. Like,
No.
what year did this come out? I know you had a hand in the development.
Oh, the aquarels?
Yeah, when
Yeah,
did the
the
aquarels?
aquarels. I didn't have a hand in the development. I
Oh,
didn't work I mean, I
look, I
reported
even have a
to,
pouch.
I mean, we gave our blessing on it. I think Annette
What year
Falso
was
and the
this?
team.
2000s though.
That was Dominique and Heidi did that. They ran the studio back then in France, and I think that was a Heidi product. She made that.
Was it
That
90s or 2000s?
that no, that was late. I believe it Aquarels was late 90s.
I think so too.
Um,
I still
but
use this sometimes.
you know, the problem is, and I mean, I won't get into a lot of this, but when Heidi and Dominique were running the product development and they were running the studio for Chanel out of France, they, having spent much time with them and much time there, learning from them and seeing what they did, it was so ahead of its time and so innovative. Some of it was too ahead of its time, like
Mhm.
wash, things like that. It was just too ahead of its time.
So good.
Um, and they were true artists. I mean, they were true artists.
Yes.
Now they have, I think, three young women,
Hmm.
three artists in their 20s doing this, but we're not seeing the same level of innovation that they had back then. And I just think that, I mean, I don't really know, but I have a feeling that that's just not where they're putting their focus in
I
innovation.
know. I'm just lobbing out a suggestion.
Well,
It's
I,
easy money. It's easy
having,
money, and it would make me so happy.
having
You know,
Hill, having,
another brand that
they're
never
not
went
going to do
away.
it.
Another brand that never went away but is under new ownership and is having a magnificent comeback is Youngblood. This is
Mm.
their original, their loose mineral foundation before Bare Minerals. They kind of launched at the same time. This one is more
Yes, they did.
luxury formula.
Yeah,
This one you don't see all the mica on the skin. It's
right.
blends down, but they're doing some pretty beautiful
Yeah.
things. You have their Vivid Luxe. I think I gave you their little cheek sticks.
Yes, love the cheek
There.
stick. They're
Yeah, they're
great.
doing some beautiful products
They
under their
really
new
are.
ownership. Their new
And that was
president, Brittany, is leading product development, and she's stellar.
and
So
that was something
don't
interesting,
count them out.
we didn't talk about that.
Minerals.
Mineral makeup made a big hit
Hmm.
in the 90s.
Yes, it
The whole
did.
mineral thing. And
Hmm.
Youngblood and Bare Essentials were the first two to kind of do that.
Hmm.
And that was extremely innovative at the time.
Extremely innovative,
Yes.
great for problematic skin.
Yes.
We saw a little
Yes.
Jane Iredale, but really
Yes,
it
that's
was
right. Jane.
Youngblood.
Yep.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it was Youngblood
Yep.
and Bare Essentials, and it was really good and very helpful for
Yeah,
super
it
problematic
was.
skin.
And especially before the whole clean beauty thing
Yeah.
trend came
I mean,
along in the
I used
in the
to
mid
have to rely on
2000s.
this. This is the thing that saved me on news stations when things went HD before we had the HD makeup, because this I could, powder, then brush this
Sure.
on, and it would actually look like skin. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So this saved my career for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It made
Yeah.
me like the skin girl because, especially men, they didn't want to look overly made up. So like I
Right.
lived with these two in my kit,
Right.
obviously the men's, for years when I would have to run into newsrooms.
Right.
It
Right.
was fun. It was wild. And then of course, this little baby's still with us, our Benetint.
God, I hate that product.
I know
I
you do.
hate
I know
that
you do.
product. Like I legitimately get ill thinking about that product. Yeah, I hate it. I hated it when it came out. I hate it now. You
I
heard it
know.
here first. Sorry if you
I'm
like it.
sorry.
She
Anyway,
loves it. I can't stand it. I think it is just,
something's changed. I used to.
it
I feel like
doesn't
it's
blend.
diluted.
It doesn't blend. It
There are
doesn't, it
better things.
sticks.
I know.
I'm sorry. I just know. Yeah.
There
But
are
how do I
better things.
really feel about it?
Look, I don't reach for it anymore, but it's still, she was a big part of my life for a while. She looked
I
great
know
for,
you
when you're
love that.
young. Oh, it looked so good.
No, sorry.
Voluminous.
Always voluminous and
Always,
forever. Right. And
always voluminous.
I think Urban Decay, thank God they're still around because
And they're
God,
still
we loved
innovating and
them.
doing a good job.
I think, are they? I mean, I think the last thing that I found really innovative from them that I love their eye pencils. Their
Well, I was going
gel
to say they just
pencils.
did a new eye pencil that's really good.
Yes, they're great. So I'm glad to see they
Yeah.
are. I'd like to see them innovate a little bit more now. They did the palettes, which are fantastic, and the
If I see
pencils, but
another naked palette,
I
I'm gonna
know.
fire somebody.
I know.
I'm
I
gonna
know,
have,
but they
I'm
are
gonna,
amazing
I know,
eyeshadows.
but I'm gonna commit citizen's arrest if they
Yeah,
come out with one more version of the naked palette. I mean, I
yeah,
get it.
that's what I'm saying.
They built
I
a
think it's
franchise on
time.
it, but come on.
Yeah.
Hey, Stockholm, still doing beautiful products.
She's got one shop left, I
Yeah,
think,
call
in
the store,
upstate
order your
Brooklyn.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. And then, of course, Shuamura,
Yes.
they're focused on hair, which I love their hair
Oh,
care.
oh, their
Use
hair.
it, love it, fantastic. But boy, oh boy, if they're listening, please come back.
Come
They,
back.
oh my God, their eyeshadows. Oh, talk about the
Uh-huh.
best eyeshadows in the industry.
Uh,
Shuamura. The formulation
uh-huh.
on those were spectacular.
Well,
And
those formulas were taken into the labs that created most of the 90s shadows. They were the
oh,
benchmark.
they were so good.
So
So
good.
good.
And Dior
Um,
shadows.
oh
Let's
my
not forget about Christian Dior.
Christian Dior powders,
Oh, Christian
beautiful,
Dior
beautiful,
powders, beautiful.
beautiful. The French make the best powders in the
Yes, they do.
industry, and I will die on a hill on that
Oh
one.
yeah, I know. I
Um,
know. Right now, there's a big trend about the Italians, but the Italians
whatever.
are fine. They're fine. It's the
They're
French.
fine. Sorry.
And Chanel, I still love my Chanel.
Yeah, the French do beautiful, beautiful, beautiful product.
Mhm.
And I know, the Italians are great too, but
Yeah,
honestly, I just and
yeah.
I think for innovations now, of course, we're seeing, all this fun stuff coming out of Korea, but I feel in my heart of hearts, so much of it is trendy. Maybe it's just because I'm older. I want beautiful product that works and makes me
Right.
look and feel good. I'm not interested in the bubbles and the bells and the whistles and the jellies and
I
it's
know. I know.
too
I
trendy.
don't want to put a
It's
mask on that foams five
no,
inches that I have to scrape
no, I
off.
don't. I'm sorry. I've turned into the cranky old makeup lady. Like I want what I want and I want it full pigment load. I want it long wearing. I want it to make me look and feel younger. I want it to feel good on my face. I don't care if it spins and whistles and does my
No.
dishes. Like I just need great, beautiful ingredients. So this whole Korean thing. I mean, I leave that to my daughter and her friends, but that's the
Right.
thing, Hill.
I
It's
don't
like,
want snail mucin on my face. I'm
no,
sorry.
I don't. And I
No.
just feel like we're chasing trends now, and there's just
Right.
garbage upon garbage upon garbage. And let's go back to some classic, well made, beautifully constructed makeup, which is why I love what Gucci Westman is doing because I feel like she feels the same way. Beautiful packaging, beautiful ingredients. Her new lip balms are insane. I know she uses a lot of, Italian labs. But I'm telling you, she gets it with the packaging. She gets it with the formulations. So beautiful
Lisa
and
Eldridge
not
too.
not trendy. Not trendy. She doesn't make trendy makeup. So thank you, Gucci, for doing that.
Gucci's done a great job. Lisa Eldridge also.
Yes, beautiful products. Um,
Hmm.
it's just distribution harder to get her
Right,
stuff.
of course.
But I think I'm over this whole as we're thinking back from the 90s to where we've come now, um, I think we've just gotten too inundated with too much crap and too much trend and too
Simplify.
much disposable.
Less is more.
Less but better. Less but
Yes.
better. And that is what the 90s were about. Less but better.
You can
So,
still buy a Guerlain metal compact and refill it. Guerlain has
love.
beautiful,
Beautiful.
beautiful shades.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So, techniques that worked back then that
Yes.
are great again. So, I don't think a lot of us are running around putting kitten eyeshadow on our eyelids anymore because, doesn't work. But we can take a beautiful matte, or now we have the technology. See how much better that is? Now we have the technology in these crayons. We have such great crayons. And I know crayons have been around. They come in and out, in and out. We had the chubby sticks by Clinique in the
Yeah.
90s, and then And then
Yeah.
Bobby did a bunch of sticks in the 90s, and then they were gone. But now
Hmm.
we have such great innovation and great formulation in sticks, and everybody's doing a stick, and they're doing it really, really well. Like Victoria Beckham
Oh,
has beautiful ones.
I was
They're
going to
great.
say, you know who we haven't mentioned? Oh, yeah. Besides Gucci West, Victoria Beckham, another person that's doing a beautiful job on beautiful classic trendless makeup that
Yes.
performs. Um, by Terry. By
Oh yeah, by
Terry.
Terry.
I mean, come on. Talk about an incredible makeup line, beautiful technology,
Mm-hmm.
not trendy. She also was a predecessor of the HD movement.
Of course.
Um, Love by Terry, great packaging, beautiful quality. Um,
Chantecaille,
Chantecaille, another brand that
another
does it well,
beautiful. Oh,
beautiful
you know who we
packaging.
haven't talked about that has survived the 90s and thrived is
Oh,
La Prairie.
yes, beautiful. Another one.
Beautiful
Uh,
skin. I
Great
mean, their
foundations.
foundation. Oh,
Yeah, really great
oof,
stuff.
so
So,
good.
there's so good, so good.
So good.
So, there's so many. I think, it's almost like if you want these sort of classic, trendless brands that have beautiful ingredients, beautiful packaging, it's definitely more the department stores. I think
Mhm.
Sephora tends to be a lot of the quick, trendy, in and out. Will it be here today or tomorrow? I don't know. So as much as I support Sephora, and tomorrow's the big sale, and I have a basket full of stuff, I still tend to go to the department store to get my
Right.
meat and potatoes makeup. And
Well,
I
oh, and I
think,
want to try it on. You know what I'm on the hunt for? So I saw one of my clients that I've loved forever the other day. She's in her late 70s, probably early 80s now, and her makeup is always so good. And it's funny because sometimes I'll go over there and I feel like she just wants company while she's doing her makeup. I'll do like one or two
sure.
things and she'll do the rest of it, or I'll do all of it, and then she'll mush it all around in her own way and it looks phenomenal. So this is one of those days. We did her foundation, we did her we did it all. And then she picks up her moisturizer, goes like this,
And presses.
presses it all in,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
smooshes it a little bit
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
and then she grabbed a highlighting crayon
Uh
and
huh.
drew on her face in the way she always does.
Uh huh.
Phenomenal. And then she got a glittery bronzer and put that on top. I'm sorry, she smooshed everything around. Glittery bronzer and then
Uh
a
huh.
matte pencil in like an ivory, not a white, an ivory. She did the lines, she did the lines, the line, the line, the lines, blended it in. Out the door, it was beautiful. And you know what it reminded me of? Touche Éclat. I need to get Touche Éclat again.
Oh, Touche Glass, so
Touche Éclat
great.
original. Now they have 14
Yes.
shades. And
Oh, which
I
is,
don't,
yeah.
I'm not sure that the original is really the original. So if anybody out there has an original Touche Éclat from the
I
90s,
do.
I want it.
Oh, you can't have that.
You're not
I
going to wear
love you,
it,
but I love Touche Éclat. I use it all the time.
but do you have an original 90s one?
I probably somewhere in a drawer.
Yeah, I just want to look at the color to compare. I'll
Oh,
send
I
it
it's
back.
pretty.
I'll
No,
send it
it's
back
pretty.
to you.
I would say that the Touche Éclat, as long as you get the original, it's fine. Ignore the other stuff.
Well, I
The
know, but I want to
original.
compare a real original to what they say is the original.
Oh, I
That's
should
what
look
I
and
want.
see for you, Hill.
Yeah,
I feel like because I buy it pretty often. I love Touche Éclat.
yeah.
I feel like I feel like it's the same. I haven't noticed a difference,
Okay.
but yeah, when they started getting crazy with all, you know what though, in all fairness, they did need to do a deeper Touche Éclat for deeper skin tones. They
I know.
absolutely needed to address that.
I know, but I
So,
don't believe that it's like the original. So
well,
I'm
they
going to
don't
need
need
yours from the
14.
90s, please.
They don't need 14. I'm sorry. Like, I
We have
think
14.
maybe three, a light, medium, dark. I'm good.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
all I need.
Yeah.
But Touche Éclat's a great product. And that was
Right.
huge in the 90s.
Hello.
And
It
some of us
defined
have
the
not given it
90s.
up. See, that's the other thing, Hill, I want to just, before we wrap up, I just feel like, I still buy and purchase so much of the same makeup
Me too.
and brands that I did back in the
Hmm.
90s. And not
Hmm.
all of it, but some of it, some of the that we've mentioned. And it stood the test of time. But I just feel like now, maybe this younger generation, they have no loyalty to brands.
Well, they
So
churn and burn and
they
churn and
just
burn.
whatever's new. And I think it's the TikTokification of the beauty industry. Oh, remember that concealer last week? Well, this one's even, it's like, oh my God, stop.
Stop. Stop.
Stop.
Well, and
Like,
this is the other thing. That's why everyone is starting to look the same. And I'm going to
ugh,
keep saying this stupid word, but everybody looks like a poser. No one has a signature look. No one has a signature style. I'm not saying you have to be a fuddy-duddy and look the same for 45 years, but there
right.
is something to be said for having a signature look. As much as having a signature scent, women that are remembered have a signature. They don't look like everyone else. They don't behave like
Correct.
everyone else. You did
Correct.
your 90s makeup. I did my 90s makeup. We immediately recognized each other. Our looks
Right.
aren't the same, but anybody that knew us in the 90s knows if I was wearing your makeup and you were wearing my makeup, they'd be like, hmm. So
Right.
create a
Yeah.
signature. Don't copycat. Stop
No.
copycatting. There's a difference between learning technique on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, getting familiar, learning how to use a texture, a concept, contour,
Right.
highlight. You can get the gist, but the goal is not to look like that person. The goal is to make your own signature look.
Right.
Like, period.
100%.
So I'm on so many
Individuality
soapboxes today.
individuality is what the makeup industry was originally built on and
Yeah.
for. How we've gotten so far away from that keeps me up at night.
Me
And
too.
I just feel that we, as women, by the time you enter your 50s, you know who you are, you know what works, you know what you like. So we can ignore the noise, but
Right.
I feel these younger generations, there's so much noise coming at them and so much stuff. And I
Hmm.
think it's starting to affect how their skin looks. And I think it's starting to affect their minds. Um, so, yeah, probably another topic and another podcast for another
Yeah.
day.
Maybe next
But
week.
the 90s were a great time. Don't romanticize them. They were great,
They were
but
brutal too.
they were brutal too.
Gritty. They were
They were
gritty.
grueling. We worked hard. We worked real
Mhm.
hard.
Oh, we hustle
Um,
hard, girl.
the hustle was real. It was real. Um, but overall, I think the makeup, that's really when makeup boomed. Just it went from being something that you just ran in and grabbed. I remember my mother would run in and grab something she needed or whatever, to wow, we have looks.
Right.
We have professional products available to the consumer. So when did the makeup industry really turn? It really was the 90s.
It was the
It's
90s. It was the
yeah,
20s and the 30s and
yeah,
then the 90s.
yeah. I agree.
100%.
I totally agree with you,
100%.
Hill. Yeah.
So, the moral of the story from this podcast for all of our listeners is dig back through your makeup, assess. You can pull things out of the archive that were part of your
Mhm.
signature that worked for you. Go back
Mhm.
to matte as much as possible, especially in the crepey places. And then you can go with just naked skin in the places that you might want to highlight instead of a shimmer. But the real moral of this story is quit watching so much social media. Get plugged back in with your signature look. If you
Right.
feel like, I don't know if I have a signature look, make it up. It's never
Right.
too late. Make your
That's right.
signature lip. What is your Grand Dame era going to look like? Let's do it,
Yeah.
ladies, and share photos with us. We want to see them. So,
Yeah.
as always, in homage of the Juicy Tubes, Susan, stay glossy.
Stay glossy from the 90s till now.